That's my entire reaction in a nutshell. Hello everyone, welcome to another Science Me video where I'm talking about how quantum tunneling cannot and does not make portals. I need a control bubble. Where's my control bubble? It's missing, Bob. Bob, where's my control bubble? It's missing, Bob. For someone to call themselves an actual scientist and then say that quantum tunneling is the thing that is used to make portals makes me really upset. Genuinely concerned about your health and well-being. Let me take you to a rabbit hole, which is the science of the portal gun. Guy trying to say that Austin was wrong about portals. Let me tell you something, okay? Let's just hypothesize how portals could possibly work. You go in one side and instantaneously come out the other side. Now, what does that look like? It looks like a traversal of an extra-dimensional space. One where it's basically think of the entire universe as a bunch of stuff all over the place. However, if you go into this other dimension, you have the ability to instantaneously transfer yourself to anywhere else. A dot here and a dot there, and you link the two, and then what happens is in one side, out the other. This also includes like the atmosphere and large people. I say large because you are bigger than a freaking atom. And you know what quantum tunneling has to do with? Freaking atoms. Quantum tunneling is what happens when you think of an atomic... When you think of a sheet of paper as a solid object on the atomic level, a diamond isn't even solid on the atomic level because there's all sorts of tiny little gaps between atoms. We all understand this. There's a structure there. There are gaps. And guess what? An electron has the ability to pass through these gaps. That's quantum tunneling. It's not actually that the solid was ever a solid in the first place. It's a chain link fence. You can poke your finger through it. And what does portals actually do? You don't phase through to the other side of the wall, for example. You phase through to a completely different area in the room, or you teleport to the goddamn moon. The moon! So, is that quantum tunneling? No, it fucking isn't. So, when he says...
To people who claim that negative mass is a solution to everything. It's not.
I don't care. You said quantum tunneling was the reason portals work. And I just have to tell you, you don't know shit about science, and you got your education from a degree place, and you don't know shit about science. That says a lot about the education system. I'm not even making a joke right here. I'm gonna tell you once again, people at NASA think time dilation exists. It doesn't. Because they're missing facts. Like how the basic, just a basic example. You get one of those atomic clocks. What are they? It is a laser pointing at a tiny little atom, vibrating at a specific, I think it's beryllium. It vibrates at a specific frequency that they then have to calculate every time and notice and tick every time. And somehow they're able to do that while also moving at tens of thousands of kilometers an hour out in space, out in the orbit. And as light tends to do, it will travel from one spot to another given a certain amount of time, depending the distance. If you go faster or slower, you are changing that distance. NASA doesn't freaking think of this as the reason time dilation is a thing, so they just say the lovely words as time dilation because it's the best understood thing that we can come up with. And you know what happens? People believe it's actually time dilation. You're brainwashed by people simplifying for the sake of your idea to get it into your head of how it works. And then what happens is, this kind of stupid rumor comes out, and everyone else also literally believes time dilation exists to the point of making arguments all over the place, saying that if you have stuff like go near a black hole, you're going to have time dilation. It's going to make it so that you have more time spent near the black hole, less time or a different amount of time spent away from the black hole. Something, 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 question mark. That's not how fucking physics work, you stupid motherfucker.
In order to keep this from happening, you need negative mass to balance out the implosive pressure.
Okay, that I will tell you, negative mass? No, you don't fucking need that. All you need is electromagnetism. You can make a negative force with electromagnetism. And with a spinning thing. It pushes things out into the outside of it. With momentum. And other such things.
That's right, you heard me. Negative mass.
I know, negative mass, yes, you're right. It is wrong. It's not the only solution, obviously.
Bullshit, and I don't believe it.
It's not that it's bullshit. Negative mass is a solution. It's just not the only solution. And it's not that you can't make negative mass. It's called a vacuum. It's what black holes are. Ha! But also, a black hole is not a wormhole, so you can't like use a black hole to make a wormhole. But that's what they are. It just can't be applied that way.
I'd just like to point out that if Austin actually edited his own videos, he would have had to watch Valve's video.
I don't care about watching Valve's video. Valve's video is a fucking video game, and they're not supposed to be scientists. So if Valve says that if freaking the people who made the Portal game is saying it's quantum tunneling, that's because they just made up some shit and it sort of makes sense. Nuh-uh.
Because clips from it show up not only in his wormhole video, but also his portal boots video, so yeah, omitting the actual schematics for the portal gun doesn't bode well.
I don't care about the schematics for the fucking portal gun, shut up.
For his theory. But shuckmeister, I hear you screaming in the back.
Is that his fucking name?
The same...
Did he say Cuckmeister instead of Shuckmeister? I'm giving him more credit than he needs.
Video shows that a component of the dual portal device is a miniaturized black hole, and we know that black holes are tied to wormholes. The gun shoots it out, so it...
No, black holes have nothing to do with wormholes. they're separate things. Although I did ironically just say that black holes would be the negative mass that you need to make the thing happen. Just because you did that doesn't mean actually the portal gun is gonna be the... Wait.
Done deal, right? Not necessarily. There's a component called a miniature black hole cooling fan. Interesting. This would suggest that the black hole is actually a power source rather than a projectile coming out of the portal device. This was my 4 a.m. eureka moment in...
I don't... Again, I don't care about the schematics of a video game portal gun. It doesn't matter. First of all, black holes have been known to once, like, hold on, how old is your fucking video? 2 years ago? Okay. Benefit of the doubt, but I'm gonna tell you right now, black holes are empty space. Is what they are, the consensus is saying nowadays. My fuzzy hair makes me look insane. I know.
The quantum tunneling effect, which I had to share with one of my fellow engineering students.
I'm sorry, I just lost a brain cell. What?
Rather than a projectile coming out of the portal device. This was my 4 a.m. eureka moment.
The projectile coming out of the portal device is a combination of the moon dust! Moon dust. Why? I don't know. But it's not just moon dust. The moon dust is what is on the walls. It is what probably is happening is quantum entanglement, not quantum tunneling. They are two separate things, and quantum entanglement was disproven also, so who cares? So when you say that it's possible, I say it never fucking was proven in the first place. The Nobel Prize was given to people who did a test that says correlation and not causation, and then you get to fucking...
Validating the quantum tunneling effect, which I had to share with one of my fellow engineering students. Rotational kinetic energy caused by the gravity of a black hole is about 40% efficient when converting mass into energy via E equals mc squared. Nuclear reactions are less than 1% efficient.
I don't care about the black hole being the idea of a power source. If you're gonna think of it as a power source, okay, sure. But one, no, it isn't. Two, it probably is the thing that's opening the black hole. And then also something with the gun is like it's whatever you're shooting at the portal surface, the moon dust surface, that is giving you the ability to make the portal happen in the first place. So what is it that you're shooting at this stuff? Well, it's some kind of substance. I don't think you're going to talk about that, are you?
Chemical reactions are about 10 to the minus 9% efficient. Metaphysics has a video on this, but they also have a video that describes portals as wormholes too. So when I say
I think he's
wrong
waffling.
about portal science, I literally mean everyone, not just the game theorists. This maximized increase of power from the black hole is how the tunneling events.
Okay, when you say game theorist, he's not a game theorist anymore. He's a shoddycast. 2 years ago, maybe he was a game theorist. He is not anymore, or he was already a shoddycast, always. Austin is his own thing.
Could be extrapolated from the quantum level to be perceived on the macro scale. Now, I've been talking a lot about tunneling without explaining exactly what it is, so allow me to do so now. Imagine you throw a tennis ball at the wall.
I'm gonna try not to vomit.
This ball will follow Newton's laws of physics and bounce back to you. But the laws of quantum...
That's because the ball is macroscopic and all of the electromagnetic connections and stuff between atoms, the stuff that holds it together and the nuclear force that holds the atoms together, is the thing that makes it so that the wall is solid in the majority, and therefore, like your hand, it's gonna smack your face.
Say that there is a minuscule probability that
There's a reason my finger doesn't go from my cheek.
bounce back to you. Instead, it will go straight through the wall and will actually lose energy while doing so. Now,
Okay, you just lost all respect because, dude, my analogy of the chain link fence is more accurate to what atomic structures are, and the fact that you don't understand. A electron is so small that it's smaller than the atom, and therefore, of course, it can freaking fit between the gaps between. If you think of the chain link fence, it's like a grain of sand going through the chain link fence. Okay? It doesn't freaking need to worry about your goddamn wall. Your wall doesn't exist according to it. It's just going past it. It's the electromagnetic fields around all the atoms that could interfere with, and usually do, interfere with the electron. However, the electromagnetic fields around the atoms, even though they could interfere with it, there's gaps. All those bubbles are like balloons pushing on each other, and then in the center, you could slip right through that thing.
it's never going to happen with a tennis ball, but it will happen with the smallest balls that we throw in the subatomic universe, electrons. Now, you can...
Electrons are not the smallest balls. They are among the smallest. Quarks and what is it? Besides quarks and neutrinos, photons. Photons are smaller. Just saying.
actually see tunneling happen by replicating an experiment created by 1973 Nobel Prize winner and a personal inspiration
I'm gonna vomit.
of mine, Ivory Ever.
In Norway, 1-0 is the best grade you can get. 4-0 is barely passing, and 6-0 is failing. In the United States, 4-0 is the best grade you can get. I was not a good student, and I got 4-0 in both mathematics and physics. Now, I got a job at General Electric Research Laboratory in Escayuna, New York. And I got interviewed by the GE recruiter, and he looked at my diploma and he said,
That is a lot of empty space.
exactly what he said. I must be very good in physics and mathematics. I am normally a very honest person, I think.
This
Okay.
Norwegian American physicist monitored the tunneling phenomenon in semiconductors and superconductors.
So I'm not getting any evidence from you from what he's saying. I'm hearing it from you, and here I am. I'm just ahead talking a lot of stuff, but I'm not like quoting random people. I'm quoting myself. My eyes look absolutely dark right now. It's crazy.
And I had to reproduce the same results as part of my modern experimental physics course, which was fitting at the time because I was working in a cryogenics research lab. I'm going to go through a synopsis of my research report on the findings and show you why tunneling expertly explains what's happening in Portal and how all the
No.
companion cubes fall into place. Quantum tunneling happens when a particle...
Okay, fuck the companion cubes. They got nothing to do with anything. They're just a freaking object that they're used to push buttons. Shut up! They have nothing to do with portals. You're using a gun. You're never near a companion cube where the majority of the time you're using the goddamn gun. Shut up!
like an electron or photon, propagates like a wave.
Please
until
shut
it
up.
hits a potential barrier with higher energy. If the particle particle is dead set on continuing to keep going. It will exponentially decay in energy while passing through a barrier until it hits the other side and begins to propagate normally with reduced
Did you just duplicate a particle? What the fuck? That's not how it works.
energy. If you put two conducting metals next to each other and apply an electrical current, the electrons will flow from one metal to another. But if you put a small barrier between them, like air, then electrons can't reach the other side.
Or plastic coating like we do on all of our freaking wires.
Stop right there, criminal scum.
Now, any discussion of quantum tunneling in this context is not complete without some background on superconductivity. Superconductors are metals with two
Actually, you don't need to know shit about quantum tunneling and superconductors together. They are separate things, phenomenon, and they have nothing to do with each other at all. Superconductors are about things changing shape and size configuration when they get to a certain temperature, and the energy is able to flow through them really nicely because of their configuration. Quantum tunneling does not a superconductor make. Just like quantum entanglement is not inside of a goddamn quantum computer. That's another Mandela effect bullshit that you guys are thinking is true, and it's not. I'm highly disappointed in anyone who believes that.
primary features: zero resistivity and perfect diamagnetism. Zero resistivity allows an electrical current to flow through a metal without anything impeding it. And
Yeah, that's yeah. Thing about superconductors and the way they work, you're cooling a puck of some sort that is the superconductor. The energy flowing through that is of a very specific way that it is able to flow. That magnetism can only flow in one specific way. So the superconductor is actually the frozen puck, and what you're doing is then you put a basic neodymium magnet on top of the superconductor. The neodymium magnet flows nicely in that spot. Also, vice versa, you can have a puck be suspended from the neodymium magnet. The magnetism is only able to go in so many ways through the puck.
perfect diamagnetism means that all magnetic fields have been expelled from the conductor. This phenomenon was described using Bardeen-Cooper-Schaefer theory.
I just lost brain cells. What?
Superconductivity. Superconductors are metals with two primary features: zero resistivity and perfect diamagnetism. Zero resistivity allows an electrical current to flow through a metal without anything impeding it, and perfect diamagnetism means that all magnetic fields have been expelled from the conductor. This phenomenon was described.
You're I need to show you something. Magnet superconductor. The thing about the superconductor is that it flows energy through it in a very specific way. and consistently and smoothly. It doesn't get bumbled up and whatever else inside of it with the weird structures of other magnets and metals, because they have, even though they have a lattice and whatever else, like these ones are like really well aligned.
Using Bardeen-Cooper-Shafer theory. To oversimplify what that means, when a metal enters a superconducting state, lightly bound fermions called Cooper pairs open up energy levels called Fermi energy gaps in the metal and greatly increase the probability that electrons will flow from one metal to the other via tunneling. There is a stipulation I've yet to mention. This
Basically, what is happen? I was gonna show you this part. You'll like this.
Fermi energy gaps in the metal and greatly increase the probability that electrons will flow from one metal to the other via tunneling. There is a stipulation I have yet to mention. This
Basically, if I could explain it to you, normally the atoms are having a certain amount of electrons around them, right? If you have it so that you think of another electron as a person and the regular atoms with their electrons as a turnstile, the electron is able to pass through that turnstile really smoothly, because it's kind of like that physically.
happens when things are really, really cold. The freezing point of water is 32 Fahrenheit, 0 Celsius, or 273 Kelvin.
I don't see anyone going through a portal mentioning cold, having any bit of cold happen. Having any bit of heat stop the portal and other such things, although the game doesn't have to be fully rendered with accurate physics and whatever else, but
Air becomes liquid nitrogen at 77 Kelvin, or negative 196 Celsius, or negative 320
I want to fast
Fahrenheit.
forward this
We need
guy.
to get even colder than that. Sheer cold, like liquid helium levels of cold, which is only 4 Kelvin, or negative 269 Celsius.
I don't know where you're going with this.
Fahrenheit. By stuffing our metals into a cryostat with liquid helium in it, we can get them cold enough to enter a superconducting state. But first, we're going to need the metals that we'll be working with. I choose Al and Pb. A vacuum dome apparatus is used to bake a thin film deposition of aluminum that's only 2,500 angstroms thick. An angstrom is a unit of measurement that sample is then left out in the air for about 15 minutes, allowing the aluminum to oxidize, giving us aluminum oxide. This layer of oxygen becomes our potential barrier. Then a thin film deposition of lead that's only 1,800 angstroms thick is applied, basically giving us a metal-air-metal sandwich. That sample is then wired to a probe, and the leads are connected to each side with silver conducting paint. Throw that
I'm not hearing anything that has to do with portals whatsoever. There's a lot of filler in here. It's dense, and the problem is it's not accurate.
staff into a cryostat, lower the temperature
Like when it comes to portals and stuff, then the
ever so steadily to about 4 Kelvin, and then you're ready to tunnel. But how do we know we're actually tunneling electrons? Well, the ability for tunneling to happen
Again, electrons. You're not making a portal with tunneling electrons. That doesn't work.
in a superconductor is proportional to the derivative of the current with respect to voltage. This is known as conductance, or the ability an object has to conduct electricity. Tunneling happens when a constant current is applied to the sample, and the
Look, me talking about a bunch of different things and fluff sometimes. Okay, can you get to... If I ever see him get to the point, I'll tell you.
temperature is lowered very carefully to around 2 Kelvin, and the conductance zero for a brief moment in time, meaning that those Fermi energy gaps that opened up as the sample got colder are now filled with electrons that have crossed the oxygen barrier from the aluminum to the lead. If you know your conductance, you can determine how big that energy gap is. This was a video
And this doesn't have anything to do with portals.
that I recorded when it actually worked, and I was bugging out so much. Oh my god. You guys don't understand how cool this actually is. I know it's too Kelvin cool, but actually, this is ridiculously awesome. This has major applications for Portal. First, let's start with the types of materials used. Ground up moon dust is the material used to create the portal walls in aperture labs and the gamma repulsion gel. And what does the moon happen to be made of? Why, quite a fair bit of aluminum and lead. That's good, and that makes sense too.
Wasn't people talking about the moon being helium-free? It was a whole thing? Moon made out of aluminum and lead? I gotta look this up now. Are you kidding me? Get the fuck out of my way, camera. I got places to go. Is there lead in that list? I don't see lead in that list. I don't see lead in the list.
Because it was poisonous to Cave Johnson. And speaking of Cave Johnson, one of the best characters in applications for Portal. First, let's don't understand how cool this actually is. I know it's too Kelvin cool, but actually, this is ridiculously awesome. This has major applications for Portal. First, let's start with the types of materials used. Ground up moon dust is the material used to create the portal walls in aperture labs and the gamma repulsion gel. And what does the moon happen to be made of? Why, quite a fair bit of aluminum and lead. That's good.
There is literally no lead on this list. None. There's like freaking there's teeth on the moon. Apparently, there's a dildo out there. There's your mom's old breath, and titanium, thorium, potassium. We got bananas on the moon. Oh yeah, and hydrogen. There's no lead. There is no lead on the moon, according to Google.
And that makes sense too, because it was poisonous to Cave Johnson. Speaking of Cave Johnson, one of the best characters.
Actually, one of the reasons why the moon dust is not good for you is not because it's poisonous, but because it's freaking jagged. Yeah, I looked it up a totally different day. And I ended up hearing about moon dust actually being... Can I find that video actually? Now that I think about it. It was interesting. It was something about the moon dust being made out of stuff you don't want to breathe because it's freaking jagged AF. It's not made out of regular shit. It's made of some. But I watch a lot of shit out here. Yo, time for a tour. Let's go. Where the fuck is this video? Was it one of these? Is me. My strawberry drink. Wednesday with the boys. That can't be it. Emotional damage. Dum 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 dum. You sound dumb. Dum dum dum. Potassium. Yeah, I don't remember. I'm sorry. But I do remember someone saying like there's something about the reason why is because like with the moon, all of that dust and stuff it gets everywhere. It makes people sick. It's horrible. And shadow snakes? That's not moon dust related. Anyway, the thing that they said was like the moon dust was like really like the structure of it was like grains of sand and whatever. It's like not good. Andy Griffith opened his theme song. Did I go too far? Hey, look! Singularities do not exist. That was something about the black holes and how they aren't a singularity. I don't know where the moon dust is. Huh. I did see something about that. I am so sorry about not knowing. But there was this thing about how the moon dust was a thing. And I don't remember where the hell that is. I see a lot of science stuff. I look at a lot of science stuff. This is where I get my information. Or it's where I compile my information and then I get my own conclusions. Stuff. Twilight Zone? What? This thing is absorbable. Okay, look, the shadow snakes was actually really interesting about eclipses and all that just. It was really good. Rarest animal phenomenon? No, that's not it. Weird car sings Bob and Wade. I don't know. Let's listen to him while I'm skirting.
All of fiction ever, and its list of different scientific fields that Aperture is contributing to. Superconducting experiments aren't only mentioned, but they're elaborated on in great detail.
Just a heads up, we're going to have a superconductor turned up full blast and pointed at you for the duration of this next test.
Okay, a superconductor pointed at you is not going to do shit. Its relative area of effect is approximately 2 to 3 inches. So that's kind of like a little, again, it's a little bit of a misnomer. It's like you can't quote these things because it's just a video game. I can't stress that enough that it's just a video game. This guy is also cool. Mutant thing. Victoria, no, that can't be it. The episode of Aerogel, that was good. The coming out video, I mean that, that's nice. I think. Oh yeah, you got Dune in there. No, wait, hold on. That means the moon is actually in the past. The moon is actually far back. Let's keep watching.
We're throwing science at the wall here to see what sticks. No idea what it'll do. Probably nothing. Best case scenario, you might get some superpowers. Worst case, some tumors, which we'll cut out.
So now you see things are starting to fall a little bit into place.
No, because no.
Electrons have mass, and that mass is tunneled through a barrier. But photons, particles that make up light, are also able to tunnel through potential barriers too.
That's because they're tiny as fuck!
Meaning that you could potentially see an object on the other side of a portal if it was upscaled using the black hole power source that I mentioned before.
I don't care. Quantum tunneling doesn't explain how two tunnels across the wall, for wherever the fuck they are connected, and I can't find the thing about the moon. Let me keep watching.
The only somewhat issue I see with this explanation makes Aperture test facilities incredibly cold.
But the disadvantage, of course, is that it has to do it at low temperature.
Not a problem for the surface of the moon, since the moon is already really frozen, but the way Chalice
Yeah, that
goes,
movie is
might
funny.
be feeling slight discomfort. Still more comfortable than deadly neurotoxin, though. So the way I see it, the blue portal is used to initiate a connection between the material and the tunneling effect, and then the orange portal would be used to link it by increasing the energy gaps of that surface, allowing particles to flow from one side to the other. Now, tunneling isn't limited in
You're not. You can't go from. You're not going from one side of one wall to the other side. That's not how quantum. That's how quantum tunneling works, and that's not what portals do. Portals go from like the sidewall to the floor, from the floor to the sidewall, from the floor to the ceiling, from the sidewall to the moon. Who cares? It's nothing to do with. Okay, yeah, that's also a good video. You might want to watch that. Take a guess which one I'm talking about. You're probably right. Moving on. I can't find this thing about dust. Maybe moon dust. Was moon dust a fucking clip? Because I can't find it in all of this clip shit. How do particles?
So there's a state of existence, right? Of that's for, but which when combined.
That's not it. Blah 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 blah. Fucking all you bitches. Where the fuck do I find any bitches? I don't know. Hey. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find the thing about the moon dust. It's been too long and I don't remember, and I should have talked about it because it was great. And crazy astronomy. No, that's not it. They added sex. Well, that's fucking awesome. Anyway, moving on.
one direction, like passing through a wall, but it certainly is easiest. Electrons in the electron cloud of an atom sometimes tunnel to opposite sides of their respective orbitals in an asymmetrical fashion. The experiment I outlined is more of a proof of concept rather than...
Okay. Quantum tunnel to the other side of the orbitals? What the heck? Dude, you know that electrons are going around atom at like what the science asylum would call fast. And hey, it's fast. Okay. We're talking about the speed of like tens of thousands of meters per second on atomic scales. It's going like... You don't have to quantum tunnel in order to do that. You just automatically end up there after a nanosecond or a femtosecond, for all we care.
a hard and fast rule, which allows aperture labs to probably not be a frozen wasteland all the time. But all of this leads to the portal paradox. If a portal itself is moving, what happens to the object going through it? Does it stay stationary or shoot out the other side?
All of this has come to the conclusion of if portal pass through object, does object pass through portal with momentum? And the answer is direction specific. If you have a portal going to the side of something, for example, right? It don't do much to it. If you have a portal going down towards... You have to understand the idea of stationary portals in the game is a game mechanic. Portals, if placed anywhere, are just like you. We're going through the galaxy at like tens of thousands of meters per second. We're going super fast around a very large thing, but we're going super fast. The portals are also going super fast. It doesn't matter what the relative nearby is. What happens with a portal is that when you connect A to B, right? And what is likely happening is quantum entanglement, and still not the full picture of the case. Like, regular science doesn't work with portals, okay? What portals do is they open a door, and then you go through the door, and you're instantaneously somewhere else. Light, whatever else, and all these other things. Chances are there's no time of the distance of travel, according to the game logic and whatever else. When you say things like, would this work? I don't care. The portal's in my brain, a portal is already moving. So it doesn't matter if you okay, what would happen to the object though is an interesting conundrum, and I'll tell you one thing. It's really simple. If the portal moves towards the object, some of that momentum is also all of the air that is being pushed or something, or just slipping through to the other side. The moment it gets on the other side, it's just basically going to fall down. So if you're going to tell me that cube over there is going to start flinging because you pushed a portal towards it, no. However, if the portal is, for example, on the ground, and you're falling towards it, if it's moving towards you, you're gaining a little extra momentum on each what's happening is some parts of your body are going through the portal sooner than others. So really, portals in this fashion, the way that they work, once one part, let's say if you are halfway between the portal, right, and you cut it in, and you cut the power and you cut yourself in half, that sucks, right? Well, what happens on one side of the portal, it's almost like saying like a different section of the room, right, is just moving towards you. It depends on what the hell is happening on the other section of the room. The portal itself doesn't have momentum. The air that is moving around you doesn't have momentum. You have momentum. So if a portal goes towards you, it's not the same as you going towards a portal. Technically. Like your own momentum, you were at rest, right? Is it going to be A or B? Well, it's going to be A. I figure in most cases it's going to be A. It also depends on whatever else. Like if you put the jump jack underneath the thing and then you activate the jump jack so it punches it up, then the box has momentum. It's a different story.
Well, it's neither, because the science shows us that portals do not move. They can't. Now, I'm not only talking from a game.
Okay, I'm gonna just vomit all over you because I already said portals, like you, are moving. You're sitting on your freaking butt on your chair right now, thinking you're stationary. You're not. You are moving. The Earth's rotating. The whole thing is going through the orbit of the sun, and also the solar system is moving through the galaxy at tremendous speeds. You are moving. So they do. Portals do move. There's no stopping that. And the interesting dynamics of the portals moving and everything else moving, really when they are on an object, it doesn't do that much. Again, really, the only thing that's moving towards you when a portal moves towards you is the air on the other side of the portal, or lack thereof. In the case of the moon, then it's empty space, and therefore it makes a vacuum. All the air is being sucked towards the portal. So that it's stuck, or the blowout, as they call it. Right? Because the atmosphere is actually being blown out. Same as if you were in space with your spaceship, and then you have an atmosphere in the spaceship, and you open the doors, everything gets blown out. It's not sucked out, it's blown out. Because it's the pressure from inside that does the blowing. The pressure outside doesn't do shit.
Perspective, but from the way Portal 2 explains how portals work, everything I brought up in this video, a portal would cease to exist if it started moving. Superconductivity.
Portals don't cease to exist because they start moving. They are always in motion. They are always in motion. Nothing is stationary. Your pencil on your desk isn't stationary. Your coffee cup isn't stationary. Nothing's stationary. And even on a quantum level, everything's shaking and moving around, jiggling. You think this hair is stationary when it's just being held straight? Or if a weight is suspended by it? No, it's also fluctuating on a quantum level, with atomic particles going and zooming around, and all the different quarks interactions that hold things together. This is the thing. People say stuff like, oh, the portals aren't moving, whatever else. No, this is a game mechanic. You just basically disproved, like, okay, if you want to talk about portals and the stuff about all this stuff, it's great that you know all this stuff. Stick to what you actually know, because you don't know this. Because if you tried to tell me that you could make portals work in real life with the idea of superconductors and quantum tunneling, I would say you are a nutcase. I will not back your I will not donate any money to help your endeavor. I will not allow anyone to believe that it's true, because I will simply tell them the actual truth about how quantum tunneling works, how superconductors actually work, and how portals have nothing to do with that. He doesn't even get into how you go from one spot to another. You realize that quantum entangled particles are always in motion, according to the people who are working with them. And even still, they had this idea of a quantum entangled particle and a bunch of pairs of quantum entangled particles, and they made basically an energy bridge, and they shot something from one side to the other. Basically all they did was shoot an object through a energy barrier ring, which directed it straight forward to the other side. You know what I call that? a straw, not a wormhole. That's another example of an experiment where they said wormholes. It's not a wormhole. Just like a fiber optic cable isn't a wormhole or teleportation of light. It's a goddamn straw.
And quantum tunneling occur at low temperatures, very close to absolute zero. Temperature, in essence, is a measurement of the movement of particles in an object. So
Is this farce? Like, what month was this posted? Does it say? August. Oh.
the colder something is, the less the internal particles move. With fewer particles moving around, you're increasing the probability that something will tunnel from one side to the other because those energy gaps in the material are left open. So what we need to do to solve this paradox is introduce a new framing based on what the portals from Portal are actually made of. Let's say you have a superconducting metal approaching an observed stationary.
The fact that he said lead makes me extremely doubt, like, his total research. Because I took 2 seconds to find out what the moon is made of, and it does not have lead in it.
Electron. Would it pass through normally or shoot out the other side? Well, the concept of a quote-unquote stationary electron seems to break Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which states that you can.
You know, a stationary electron is what we use when we have electron guns. It's held in an electromagnetic field. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle tells you about electrons that are in an orbit of an atom. You don't know where it's going to be around that atom because it's going at super speeds and you're not calculating fast enough. It's not actually uncertain. You're just not seeing it quick enough. Think about something the size of an electron moving the speed of Superman and such like that. And you understand, yeah, it's going to be very uncertain if you're not really accurately looking at that electron. And we haven't been able to do that until recently. But the fact that you mentioned Heisenberg uncertainty principle with regards to an electron held by an electromagnetic field, that doesn't apply at all. You know exactly where it is. You are holding it.
Not know the momentum of an electron if you measure its position and vice versa. But
No. You can find out the momentum of the reason why we say all this stuff about you can't find out where it is and also know where it's going without affecting where it's going is because in order to visualize an electron currently, you have to shoot other stuff at it or near it, and that's going to be something that has an effect on it. So you're affecting where it's going. That's why you can't find out where it is and also know where it could go. You have to be watching one thing or the other. That's not. Ew.
in the context of relative motion, let's say you have an
Also, you
electron.
misquoted Heisenberg's uncertainty principle because it has nothing to do with the where it is going thing. And also, where it is one snapshot. In order to know where it's going, you need 2 snapshots.
A superconducting metal pass through a potential barrier into another
The whole idea of, like, you can't know where it's going from just where it is that the where it is doesn't contain any information about where it's going. You need multiple shots. where it is going, where it has been. Or 3. That's all you need. 3 points can show you the entire parabola of wherever the hell angle it's all, or if it's straight, or if it's doing some weird shit. Like, out of 3 points, data points, where it is. 1 is not enough. Who cares?
Conducting method. Does it shoot out the other side? Well, no, it does not. It passes through normally, just by the definition of tunneling. As I mentioned before, when tunneling occurs, some energy is lost in the process to the potential barrier. While you can't know the momentum specifically, it is certain that the tunneled object will not increase in momentum once exiting the portal. Again, treating these tunneled objects as electrons, you could...
Okay, how an object relates to the portal is literally irrelevant. Think of the portal being the same as walking through a window. There is no difference. The only difference is the atmospheric conditions on one side of the portal and on the other side of the portal. The portal itself doesn't do anything to those conditions. So if the portal moving moves the atmosphere, then the atmosphere is going to move you, which is going to change how you move once you go through the portal. It'll make you faster. Hell yeah. If you got a bunch of air sucking through it, the air is also helping you. But that also happens on both sides of the portal. There's no difference in the center, in the portal apex itself.
never shoot another electron out the opposite side. Thus, it implies it just pops out the other side. And it was really intelligent of the developers at Valve to have a real-world solution based on...
I lost a brain cell, what?
Another electron out the opposite side. Thus, it implies it just pops out the other side. And it was really intelligent of the developers...
I'm not going to comment on how much I don't understand what the hell you were trying to say.
At Valve to having, again, treating these tunneled objects as electrons, you could never shoot another electron out the opposite side. Thus, it implies it just pops out the other side. And it was really...
You really need to say things like side A, or the blue portal, versus side B, the orange portal. You can't communicate like that.
Based on quantum mechanics for why their portals couldn't move. Or it was just way too complicated for the physics engine at the time, and they are the luckiest developers on Earth. Regardless, Portal is still an amazing...
Actually, the interesting thing is someone did make a video having a portal crush someone, and you end up in this weird, like, thin space, and the game engine doesn't like it, and reality hates it. You know what really happens when you try to put someone inside of a minuscule space? They squish. There's no space for them to exist. They literally get crushed into the size of an atom. If you put two portals together, that's not a good. It's not a good thing. You don't end up inside the extra dimensional space that is between portals. You end up squished. Can't tell you enough that the portals just make an opening between two areas of space. If the area of space is just a thin sliver, that's all the space that you occupy. You are crushed.
This explanation is also sound with conservation of mass. Remember, if you...
My reaction. So Austin, the science actually watched the video and he liked it. Like, is this a satire? Sorry, is this a fucking satire? It's not a satire. It's not. Is this a satire? Is this a fucking satire? It's not a satire. That's the sad part. That's the sad part. That's that's the sad part. It's not a fucking satire. He's not joking. He believes what he said. I'm grossed out. I'm really grossed out. I'm leaving.